When teaching about static electricity, you'll often go and use a Van de Graaff generator. But when explaining how the Van de Graaff generator works to students, you've got to remember that if they're physically going and looking at the Van de Graaff generator, they'll quite often get distracted and such forth and not actually listen to the explanation. So one way that you can do it is to use a relatively nice model, right? Key thing is that you need to go and you need to be talking about the movement of electrons. So you start off, so around the bulb part of your model, you've got negative electrons, because then that allows you to go and show where the electrons are moving. It's always worth keep pointing out to students that you are talking about the movement of electrons, right? Because it's the electrons that are moving, not the protons. And remind students that you go and they've got a negative charge. Right, so when you're doing this, it's worth also having all of your little labels already done and ready. So the first thing that you can then go and talk about is the fact that this rotating belt will go and strip electrons off of the bulb. When doing this, you can start to show where the electrons are actually moving. So you can physically show that the electrons are moving through the metal brush and down the belt, right? Then you can go and start to question students about what charge that will leave the belt with, right? So you can point out to students that that is giving the Van de Graaff a positively charged dome, right? Because you go in and you're removing negative charge. It's worth going and just reinforcing that we're talking about the movement of electrons all the way through until you go and finally you talk about those electrons being lost to the ground where they're got rid of effectively. And that gives the dome of your Van de Graaff generator a positive charge, which will go and pull in other negative electrons. Like I said, this works really well if you do it just before actually doing your physical Van de Graaff generator demo.